Like a child, you lift me. You show me the way. Every voice in harmony. Together we pray. Try to rise above reason and hold on to your name. Finding love in the seasons without loving in vain. One heart and one soul, with one desire, one goal, with one voice, one song, with one solution.
All right, we are going in. The sound effects, the sound effects. All right, welcome everybody. How are you, Seth?
I am
You are
surprisingly good.
surprisingly good. All right.
Surprisingly good. The
Uh,
country is going into lockdown again, I think. The can't trust politicians, can't trust the media. Everything is a lie. And yet I'm here with you, and so I'm good.
you sound inspiring.
Wah,
Yeah,
wah.
but if there's no one to trust, that is a great opportunity
It's a good
to
opportunity for us. It's good for our
to
business.
exactly, because we're in the business of recognizing the great transition, everybody. Welcome to the great transition. If you're new here, that's what we do here. We recognize that the world is not coming back. There was a world and there is going to be a world that is new, but the old one is not coming back. And that's why everything that we're seeing in the world today is weird, strange, bizarre, frightening, concerning, uncertain. And a lot of us feel deep down that something big is happening in the world. We want to tell you if you feel that, we feel the same. And we want to talk about that. We want to explore how we go into a great transition that is going to change the human species, that is going to change human culture, that is going to change human civilization on planet Earth. This is what's happening. This is what is happening. Nothing less than that. We're going to discover how we're all one, bounded by the laws of nature, beyond politics, religion, culture. And that's what we're doing here. That's what the Great Transition is all about. So, welcome everybody. I'm already seeing Seth. I'm seeing a bunch of friends here on YouTube, uh, coming from all over the world, such as Egypt and Quebec and Finland and Colorado and Washington and the Netherlands. Hello, San Francisco, Bangalore, Brooklyn. Ah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful, you guys. If you didn't let us know where you're watching from yet, do tell us right now. There we go. Old Fort, North Carolina is here with us as well. Hey, Mary. Great. Great, great, great. So you sounded very inspiring when I asked you how are you. Care to share what's
Well,
inspiring
the old
you?
expression, you only live 1,000 times.
Okay. All right.
No, actually, the expression that everyone is familiar with is, well, you only live once, so
So why do
um,
you say 1,000 times?
because that's my worldview. My world, it could be more than 1,000, but
All right.
if you need to fit everything into one incarnation, 180-year
Lifetime. Okay.
lifetime, so and that's all you get, then it's one kind of perspective on life. If you feel, though, that this isn't all it's about, if you start to feel this concept of conservation of energy, like, okay, so
Okay.
I came from somewhere before now, and I'm going somewhere after now. I'm still kind of
N-
recouping from. It's funny in my family. I'm the Jewiest guy.
Okay.
So for some reason, I became like the rabbi. I've done so far weddings, I've done bar mitzvahs, and I did my first funeral. I did my uncle's funeral.
Oh,
Um,
I see where you're
so
at now.
it
I
started.
see where you're at. No, no,
Yeah, I'm
bro,
still
you
stuck on
should.
that.
No, no, it's okay. You should have reminded everyone that, yeah, no. So you were in this kind of between life and death contemplations happening in your
I
mind right
prepared for the
now.
funeral. I was literally like hanging
Right.
out with my uncle who passed away, like that whole evening and into the next day, and
Okay.
with um yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
No,
started out like at like Passover and stuff. I would kind of like lead because I had something to say, and then it turned into this thing where I started like leading these bigger things. I don't have any like formal qualifications except I'm the only guy who understands what's going on. So just kind of. So
Uh,
um you ever been to like a funeral where the rabbi's like or the priest is like, and Michael, he was it says here he was an honest guy, and
yeah.
like
Yeah,
they
in
hire
weddings too. In weddings, I mean, the weddings they probably they get paid more, so
they
they
do a little
memorize.
research, they Google them a little bit.
They memorize. They memorize
We
it.
have here Michael, I mean Steve and Jane over here, and it says they've
Yeah.
known each other for 6 months. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, so I I led the a funeral of my uncle, and it was very emotional, very touching. Um, it was also very, very clear that and because we then saw we were next to where his parents are buried and then where their parents were buried, and oh, those, my great grandfather was a taxi driver in a tailor in Manhattan,
Mm.
and now my sister lives in like a luxury building in Manhattan. It's like, two generations
Hmm.
later, and you see how these immigrants came as a taxi driver, but you kind
Right.
of see how um, we're so much more than this one short little piece. So that concept, oh, you know my song, do you know that song Garden? Maybe I could play that
But
song
Garden
another time.
by
I'll play it at the end.
ah,
Um,
your song. I
yeah.
mean, you
Um,
and Tomer
and it
and like the
only
guy.
took
Yeah,
me a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
thousand
Yeah, I
lifetimes.
like that
Yeah,
one. I
yeah.
like that one actually. I like that one a
Um,
lot. Okay, this will be our ending song for
our
today,
closing
unless
song.
we.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this concept of you only live a thousand times, versus you only live one time. If you live one time, you look at life in a very, very different way. Um,
Mm.
how much can I
There's.
accumulate in this?
Yeah, yeah. Go no, go ahead.
How much can I accumulate in this life? And also extending this life. I know everybody's very interested in extending this life, which is kind of a joke because what are you extending? You want to like make the suffering like 25% longer, or like, I have to pay off my bills for 70 years. I wish I could pay them off for 80 years. That would be so much better. I wish I
the
had like more time to pay off my credit card debt, an extra 10 or 15 years tacked on the end of my life.
There's you know what? Maybe Chris can pull up that article we just mentioned
Yeah, exactly. So I
to each
want to
other
extend my
earlier.
life,
So
that I can suffer longer.
yeah, Chris, can you zoom into it actually so we can even see it bigger? Like so, right. So Israeli, yeah. Go back to the headline. Israeli scientists claim to reverse aging process. So that's what you're talking about, yeah. the the I mean, I don't know exactly. I haven't read all the details there, but just from the glimpse I had at it, it's an interesting development. If that's what we're going, huh? Like,
Well,
no,
so it's like this. You ever seen when you ask anyone to draw an alien, for example, right? They're
yeah,
always the same. They
it's a
always look like a person.
funny thing, yeah,
It's always a
yeah.
person with a big
It
head,
like a kind of a person, but
right?
the exaggerations are they tend to be similar, yeah.
So why is it that that in a that in a universe that is so big as this, the only creature looks exactly like us? Or is it somehow that the only depiction that a person can have is a depiction that's already kind of imprinted in him? Meaning our vision of life, our vision of aliens, for example, is only something based on what we think life can be. Our vision of life itself is only what we vision. Here's a stupid story, okay? Totally unrelated. Um,
We
when
we
I
we we started this whole. I think our whole show today starts with unrelated bits and pieces, so it's fine. Let's just
okay, so
go
here's a
there.
one more unrelated bit.
Okay.
Um, I lived in I grew up in a small town in South Jersey, and they didn't have this sport called ice hockey. I don't know. You live in the Middle East. I don't even know if you know what ice hockey is. It's a sport. It's like played on the ice.
Ice
You know what it is?
hockey. Ice
Ice hockey.
hockey. Ah, okay.
Hockey.
You just said ice hockey. I thought this is a Japan is this a Japanese sports? This is
Ice
what in
hockey.
Jersey?
Hockey
Okay.
played on the
No,
ice.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
So as
totally
a kid,
not you know
not a Middle Eastern thing.
not prevalent here, but we know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a kid, I saw baseball. I saw kids playing baseball. I saw kids playing soccer, football, right? But I never saw ice hockey. I just didn't know like it was a thing you could do. And then somehow we moved to this new town, and there was a rink, a place where people played it indoors. And I went
Yeah.
and I saw kids playing it. And it's a totally stupid example, but for a little kid who didn't know that it was like a thing that you can do. Wow, it sounds really stupid now that I'm saying it out loud, but the concept, it was just something that's not a big deal, but I didn't even have a picture in my mind that it was possible that it could be done. Okay. Dumb
Right.
example. The point is, when you think of an alien, you don't think of anything beyond what you can already imagine. When you think of life, you don't think of anything like you think of life. When I think of a great life, it means more stuff for me, more money for me, more years for me, right? There's no concept that life can be something besides just more of what there is now.
Hmm.
So, like, if my house is 1,000 square feet, like a good life would be if I had like a 2,000 square foot house, or like, if I'm going to live to 70, like a good life would be like if I live to 85, you know.
Hmm.
But there's no concept that there is, until what we're going to talk about and open up here. What is life?
Hmm. Well, that's one thing we definitely need to open up, but I think there's also a lot of influence to the worldview, like back to what you started with, that you only live 1,000 times. The it Check this out. There's this research that yeah, it's like maybe a decade ago, where they asked students, they gave some of them, like they divided them to groups, and one group was given like an excerpt that talks about life being nothing more than a pack of neurons. So all you are is just a collection of some neurons that are firing with each other, and then at some point they stop firing, and then you die, and that's it. So that was one worldview that one group was exposed to, and then another world group of students was exposed to a completely different worldview that said that we're all part of this law of conservation of energy, if you will. We're all part of this collective, vastly interconnected system, and whatever you do, even in one lifetime, affects the whole chain and everything else, and it comes back to you. And it's all this one interdependent puzzle piece, the puzzle that you're a piece of, and so on. And so they saw, anyway, and then after they were exposed to these ideas, they played games and they did all kinds of tests, and it turns out that those with the "you're nothing but a pack of neurons" kind of worldview ended up exhibiting a lot more inclinations to cheat and to deceive others, and to only hoard their resources in the exercises that they
Wow.
did.
So that's really apropos, because today each person thinks that this life is just this life, and when
Exactly.
it's over. So I need to get for myself as much as I can, and if I can steal without anybody noticing, I'm willing to do it, and postpone the payment. I'll push the payment off as far as possible, because it's possible I'll die before I have to even pay these bills off.
Yeah.
So it's not my problem.
So back to that. Okay, back to those Israeli scientists that are figuring out now how to reverse aging. That brings to mind. Okay, if we actually have that, if let's say we have the cure to aging, right? Yeah, let's say we're going to be able to, not die. So now your worldview becomes even more important. You know what I mean? Like, is it like, what are you staying alive for? What are you going to do with, let's say, even that you have
More Netflix, maybe,
there you go, more Netflix, more robbing
to
each
catch up
other,
on a lot of
more,
Simpsons episodes that I missed.
yeah.
Since I
Are
have all this Kabbalah time, I don't have a lot of time to watch all those Simpsons episodes I missed. If I live an extra 25 years,
Yeah, are you? Here's
I'll catch up on them.
Chris just brought up the are you nothing but a pack of neurons? According to laboratory scientists in ratings, research suggests that our moral sense is deeply tied to our worldview. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So what do you say? What will make it worthwhile to reverse the aging process?
Okay, so first of all, everyone buckle your seatbelts, okay? Because to enter into this new perception, we need to leave. We need to remember, we used to talk about this show being like a spaceship. We need to leave our common perception. Uh, we need to leave the common perception that my life is my protein body, because we will discover, and hopefully soon, a new perception. And it's not, no one's going to ask you to believe everything. You actually perceive in your own senses that your existence is way beyond the protein existence. And this concept that Asaf and I keep talking about, unity, we need to connect, unity. It's not based on morals or based on kindergarten behavioral rules so that all of the kids can get along in the playground and then we'll all die at 80 years old, just having been nicer kids to each other instead of fighting with each other in the playground. But what happens in unity, what happens in connection, is that we begin to perceive reality in a different way. Because today, the reality that I perceive is through my own senses. Tomorrow, but that reality is constantly filled with suffering. It's constantly filled with dead ends. It's constantly filled with frustration. If we're able to perceive a new sense through this connection and through this unity, then we begin to perceive a reality that is not limited to my protein body. It means it's beyond time. And now we're talking now. I mean, this is, spoiler alert, this is what the great transition is about. It's not about just electing a new kind of leader who's going to divide the food correctly, which is also, a transitionary phase towards where we're going. But we're actually talking about a whole new perception of reality.
Okay, if we're going there, if we're going there, then hmm, we need to then everybody listening. Seth said, buckle up, buckle up." Um, I would say we have to dive in a little bit, because what's happening is that we all have within us, if we are human beings, if you're a human being, doesn't matter where you are in the world, at life right now, what political side you think you're on, what kind of life story you got attached to that tells you, I am this person and I am like that, and I have these family members and I have this kind of occupation, and this is what I like and this is what I don't like. If you try to take your point of awareness, your point of consciousness, and try to like zoom out of all those details that you are familiar with in your five senses that you attribute to you, to me, to this is me. If you try to just not to delete them, God forbid, but just to remove yourself from them a little bit, and um, you start thinking about you as an observer, you as a point that takes everything, that looks at everything in front of you, and not necessarily being attached to everything that you're seeing and feeling. Then we'll discover that we all, as human beings, we all have the same capacity to observe reality and search for the meaning of it, the purpose behind it. We all have this deep down, deeply seated demand to find what this reality is all for. Not why something bad happened to me yesterday or something good may happen to me tomorrow that I'm looking for. No, 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 no. Beyond all of that, what is the whole thing for? What is this reality even about? Why am I in it? Why do I suddenly find myself in this protein based body with these five physical senses where I think that I'm this and this and that, and I have these things that I do in life, and this is my life, and so on. Where does that picture come from, and what for? And so as human beings, we have this ability to contemplate our own existence, something that animals don't have. We have this ability to question our own reality. And if this quality is unique to human beings and we haven't yet tapped into it, then this would mean that all of our social development so far, all of our historical development, our collective human evolution to this point in 2020 didn't yet take us to the point where we actually engage in our role as human beings, in our unique function in this whole existence. And so everything that's been happening until this point is some sort of a preparation. What we're saying is that the great transition is about this. It is about not just finding a way to reorganize human society around the planet so we can all have a better life, but it's about elevating the very meaning and purpose of life itself. Finding
So
out. Yeah, go ahead, man.
the coronavirus came, whereas my kids showed me in the meme. I don't know if you saw the Cardi B thing. Coronavirus. No, okay, wrong demographic. Okay.
I didn't see that, no. But yeah.
The virus was an opportunity for us to ride the wave with nature. It was a huge opportunity to change a lot of the way that we had been living, the way that we had been damaging the earth, the way that we're creating unsustainable lifestyles for ourselves. And we faced it in at the beginning. It was actually very interesting when everybody was singing on the porches and doing things like that. In Italy, we saw those videos at the beginning, but we kind of missed the boat on that. Did you see Dave Chappelle talking on Rogan about this a little bit?
Remind me.
They had I don't know, it was this week. Um, I was hoping you heard it because I don't remember, but he touched on some very important points about the psychology of this whole thing. Um, but now, if we as a here's the thing, the majority rules. So even if the majority is wrong, okay, the
Mhm.
majority rules. So if meaning like what's in the collective consciousness, if the virus was not enough, if we as a population kind of feel like it's, if we don't give it the kind of attention, if we don't ride this wave in the right way, so nature isn't left with another option but to, you know, following this virus. Then if we just are going to try and attack it with with a vaccine and just try and go back to life as normal, so then we have no idea what's in store for 2021. Maybe volcanoes, maybe storms, maybe problems with the food supply. Um, we're we have to get into this new perception about what is happening and where we're going, and we can't look at things. When you were talking a minute ago, what I was thinking about during that development is like I grew as like I'm a lung, like my whole body, my whole life, I'm just a lung. You're a kidney, right? We developed our life like as this one thing. Now we have to realize we're part of one body.
Right.
We all have to realize that it's not enough anymore. You know, at first you have caveman and cavewoman, and they made cave family. You know, at a certain point they make cave town. And then eventually they become a little more civilized and they make counties and states and countries. So it's a natural progression that you go from this very intimate small circle into bigger and bigger circles. The same thing is happening with our consciousness now. I'm not talking about towns and counties and countries. Consciously, we felt, uh, or we still feel, our small circle that includes me and maybe those very very close to me. We need to understand and start to feel that we're part of this whole body. We need to feel now that we are part of all of humanity and start to perceive reality in a totally new way, not as that we're just this one organ, but that we're part of this one whole body. Now, this show, for example, when we have all these people coming from around the world, I don't know how they ended up here with us, but that's already something. We have this new kind of worldview that we're starting to just peek at a little bit. When a baby like first opens his eyes and he sees all kind of lights and colors and stuff, he's not sure what's going on, where
Mm.
he is yet. We have to bring this into focus and start to see this new life that is going to open for us. And it could feel, you could feel nervous if you're here with us listening to this, to hear that it's, you know, this is not the end, this is the beginning. The
Mm.
coronavirus is not the end of this process. The coronavirus is the beginning of this process. You know, we could, I hope not, but this could lead to a war. You know, it doesn't mean that we all have to experience something so terrible, but it does mean that we need to be serious. We need to seriously, we said this was gonna be a fun episode of stuff. I don't know
Oh,
what road I'm going down
okay.
here.
Okay. Okay. So
Are you
no,
waiting for me to pull up
no,
out of
no.
this?
I was look. You. Okay. Let me throw at you something. Let me throw at you something that speaks right to that concept of how we are evolving collectively, and more specifically, our consciousness is evolving collectively. This is a fascinating thing, and I think we'll be able to continue that concept with this kind of um, with this idea. Anyway, just to take a look at that. Okay, can you see this? So what pandemic dreams may come. Harvard researcher says many having nights full of bugs, masks, and natural disasters. Okay, I'll just summarize what's happening here. So there is a legitimate dreams researcher, right, from Harvard University that his name is Barrett, Diana, I think maybe, or she has this personal name. It's hard for me to pronounce, but Miss or Mrs. Barrett, she actually mapped out thousands of dreams of human beings like you and me. And what she finds, first of all, is that we all have very similar nightmares, right? We all have very similar nightmares. Our nightmares actually look the same. Now, that's in general. What she finds out now with regards to COVID is that this is the time when never before have our dreams been as globally similar as they are today, and the anxieties that they reflect are also very similar, coming from the same reason, being COVID. So that, now if you think about it, what's a dream, right? What's a dream? So dreams, that's, a very basic thing. Dreams reflect all sorts of concerns, anxieties, thoughts, emotions, passions, all kinds of things that are there in our minds, in our heart, if you want to think about it poetically, emotionally, right? But they're there latently. They are dormant. They are asleep when we're awake, and they wake up when we fall asleep. Because when we fall asleep, we kind of turn off the external stimuli that keeps them subdued, right? We're always told not explicitly, but through everything that happens around us, we're being pushed to repress these thoughts, anxieties, concerns, emotions that we have, and then they resurface when we are disconnected from the external stimuli of the external world. And then it turns out that we're all repressing very, very similar concerns that we're not talking about. So think about how interesting is that in our time, you have these psychologists like Carl Jung and others who talked about the collective unconscious, how we all share a certain collective unconsciousness, subconsciousness. And so through this research of dreams, we're seeing this kind of surfacing, and it reflects just how similar we are becoming across the world in terms of what we actually are worried about, and how we think about the future, how we're worried about the future. There is a certain kind of wave that we are all being kind of moved by without
Kevin,
talking about it.
Kevin James says our dreams like a kind of like a collective desires.
Yeah, yeah. Our dreams reflect our desires. And what you see through the research is that our dreams are becoming similar, which means that you can say, hopes, dreams, aspirations, anxieties, concerns are also becoming similar. But it's, this is a, again, this researcher says that this is unprecedented, that what she's seeing from the research now is unprecedented, never before happened on such a global scale. So why did I bring it up? Because you said collectively, we are
I was talking about World
collectively
War III. I'm
evolving.
not sure how you
Uh,
brought it.
all right, there's that part too that you brought up. Um, you know what? While we're at it, while we're at it, let me show you another thing. Okay, so this is on
While
the
we're talking
lighter
about the end of the world. Oh, okay.
end of the world, but on the lighter side of things. So there is actually a movie. There's actually a movie where COVID mutates and America is still locked down in 2024. So just think about what that means. This is like a Michael Bay esque. I think it's actually Michael Bay, not even esque. Yeah, it's actually Michael Bay.
It's
This is
Michael
like
Bay.
Michael Bay is like Transformers, like whatever blockbuster
Okay.
movie that you can think about with tons of explosions and and not a lot of complicated um, uh, deep kind of plot, but the classic Hollywood blockbuster special effects kind of movie with explosions. That's Michael Bay, the director, right? So he's actually going to do a movie. He's working on a movie. There's a trailer and everything, and your classic like kind of like explosions, like action packed, that kind of thing, right? So, but why is this funny? Because
Yeah. Why is this funny?
I'll tell you why is it funny. Because we used to, Hollywood would 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 borrow its inspiration from demons and the ideas of demons and spirits and supernatural heroes and Iron Man and all kinds of aliens coming from to this planet and creating some new kind of wars. And now all you need to get inspiration for the next Michael Bay movie is 2024. Just think 2 years from now. Let's just think about
So
two or 3 years
when
from now.
when COVID started, it was like this thing is going to be gone by spring. That's what they told us at first. So this thing will be gone in a couple months. This thing will be gone by Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
Now I heard that with the vaccine, it'll be over in May of 2021. That's what the story that I just heard. Oh, this is the world meter. Thanks, Chris. Okay, this is yesterday in the U.S. Almost 2,000 deaths yesterday in the United States. 260 total deaths in the
Hmm.
U.S. Um,
Yeah, I think I saw a global statistics that said that COVID now kills about a person per minute or something like that, or a person per 2 minutes, something like that.
so I think it's probably impossible to actually trust
Sure, sure.
any of these
There's
things.
there's agenda
Um,
everywhere. Yeah.
um, but it's not so unlikely that this doesn't that this will carry on for some time. But what we want to see and what we want to do again and again, and the reason that we're here is because we want to spread this message about what is happening and why it's happening. We're not here to just point out random news stories, but we're here to talk about a new kind of consciousness, a new kind of perspective on life, a new kind of perspective on reality. We're looking at what's happening through all these news stories, but through this lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah, which talks about everything is being guided by one force. It uses a plus and a minus, a positive and negative, an electron and a proton, a male, female, a night, day. It uses these two light and dark forces to move through time. But we have the ability now that we finished our material development. There's not going to be like monkey plus. We're done the physical development. Now we have, and we already in our consciousness started to explore what these things are. Do you know who Timothy Leary is?
Yeah,
Ram
sure.
Dass.
Sure.
Okay, Timothy Leary. He did all these LSD experiments back in the 60s.
Yeah.
He said he
Hmm.
was at his mom's funeral, and he was like laughing because he was like communicating with her. She was
Hmm.
dead,
Yeah.
and everybody else there was like, "Oh, here's the crazy son, who
Yeah.
just got back from India, who's like, taking the drugs or whatever." Everybody at the funeral was kind of like somber, and he was like, felt like he was like communicating with his mom, and he was like in a whole other um, perception of what was going on. So it's an interesting anecdote uh, about looking at what's happening from a totally different perspective now. So, of course, whether or not you have to be in California and you have to be, or in Toronto or one of these cities that looks like they're going into a lockdown again, you got to do the regular things on earth. Asaf and I are not floating around outside like angels. I mean, you're in a house, you eat, you go out. If you have to work, you do all the normal, regular things. But we have to start developing this new perception. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about seeing what is nature showing us, not from the eyes of CNN, not from the eyes of Fox News, not from the eyes of Al Jazeera, which are all bought by private interests. What is nature showing us? And and why? And where can we go from this? And nothing that's happening is bad in and of itself. It's all part of our development. It's all in order to allow us to, these are the tools. Like, for example, if we woke up and didn't have any of these thoughts and any of these anxieties, we would just be a dog. We would just be a monkey going through the COVID times. We would just be a dog going through the COVID times. So the fact that we feel anxiety, the fact that we have all these fears, those are good. That's a sign that we're entering into a human development. And where is the correct fit? Now, are you going to fill those emptinesses with monkey fillings and dog fillings? Give me another bone, give me another dollar, give me another whatever. Or are we going to see them? Are we somehow, some way going to get a glimpse, hear something, see something that's going to start to point us to a new direction, that there's a new reality, a new vision, that all this anxiety in the air, all this fear in the air, all this uncertainty in the air is specifically to move me. It's nature moving me away from being a monkey, nature moving me away from being a dog, because a dog gets up in the morning, he has a little anxiety, he goes and eats, he's relaxed again. A monkey has a little anxiety, goes make monkey babies, he's relaxed again. But for us, we have this new anxiety, this new inner urge. So let's seize on this opportunity now and see where it's taking us.
Yeah, I think to me it's still fascinating, everything that's happening right now. I there's two ways to look at it, about everything that's happening right now in the last, what is it, 10 months now already with COVID, something like that, almost a year. This is, um it's this period of, you know you see how the world is going through a very serious kind of, introspection, observation. Some of it is conscious, like us talking about this now with all these great people on the chat from all over the world who are feeling this, and we're actually consciously having the conversation on what we're going through as human beings, as a society. What does nature want from us? But there's also a lot of people, probably most people, are going through that scrutiny, that exploration, but in a non conscious, indirect kind of way. I think the fact that you have people sharing the similar nightmares all over the globe, I think the fact that Hollywood is looking at just, let's take what people are feeling now and let's extend it 2 3 years into the future and make a blockbuster movie based on that. The pop culture is just an indication for me on where the common denominator of the
Yetzi wrote
public
something about
lies.
this
You know,
this thing called the Great Reset. Did you see the Great Reset, or you know what the Great Reset is?
yeah, the Great Reset is, I think it's an economic, maybe the World Economic Forum came up with. Is that what he means? There we go. We have
I'm not sure. I didn't
a
hear about it.
Chris we have a Chris Jones here. making sure that we don't miss a beat. The Great Reset, wow. If you can, scale it up, Chris. The COVID 19 crisis and the COVID 19 crisis and the political, economic, and social disruptions it has caused is fundamentally changing the traditional context for decision making. The inconsistencies, inadequacies, and contradictions of multiple systems, from health and financial to energy and education, are more exposed than ever amidst the global context of concern for lives, livelihoods, and the planet. Leaders find themselves at a historic crossroads, managing short-term pressures against medium and long-term uncertainties. Yeah, the only problem I have with the World Economic Forum is that the agendas and the interests behind the people who lead it are essentially, they recognize there's a huge crisis. They recognize that some sort of great reset needs to take place. Kudos on the tagline, the Great Reset. They're getting better, but for them, reset just means how can we reset all the problems that are happening now so we can go back to making money again. This is like you can't really expect a change of incentive, a change of drive from the people who are driving the current system.
It
But
would be so dystopian.
yeah, but the analysis, sure, I agree with they surely the people who are now thinking about how can we continue exploiting the world, and they are finding that it's becoming a problem. They definitely have a sharp understanding of what's going on. I don't say, but
We need to
anyway,
figure out how
yeah,
to coordinate all of our systems better so we can exploit the working class even more.
yeah, but no, but what I was trying to say is the world. This is another example. The world, bro, the world is going through a lot of a washing machine. There's a washing machine now. Some of us recognize, whoa, there's a washing machine. We're in a washing machine. We're evolving into something new. We got to change our whole concept of society. We got to change economics completely. We got to change, what we're living for. We got to see something else on the horizon of the life of the human. Some people are seeing this, like people who are watching this show and having this conversation with us. But everyone's in the washing machine is what I'm trying to say. That's why we're having similar dreams. That's why even the leaders and the bankers, or the World Economic Forum people, are saying there's a great reset coming. Everyone is going through the washing machine, and nature is turning the wheel. You know, so the that's what's exciting to me. Anyway, that's what's exciting to me. There's like it's up to us how conscious we are about the process. And the more conscious we want to be, the more we will experience the washing machine as a cleansing, purifying, positive, adventurous, magical, all inspiring kind of process, versus the less conscious we are about us going through a major transformation, the great transition. The less conscious we are, the more it will feel horrifying and nightmarish and just bizarre. And we will just find ourselves trying to just, whoa, there's another spin coming, whoa, there's another, like so
So
anyway.
David Mancini says, "How can you be so sure you know what's happening?" Which is an awesome
Ooh.
question. My brother asked me this at the time. He's like, "Why are you so damn confident when you say that?" You know. Um,
Mm.
so first of all, we recommend nobody believe anything we say. Okay, that's number one. Everything should be tested on yourself. If you feel at some point that you see things happening in the way that we're talking about them, then you may want to give them a little credence. And but first you need to build some rapport with what's going on here. Um, but we're not talking about as much as possible personal opinions, and we're not talking about political beliefs and things like that. What we're bringing to this show is an ancient wisdom that is very, very pragmatic, okay, that all of creation is operated by a plus and a minus force. It's all moving in a certain direction. I mean, these things are clear, these things are observable. Everything we're talking about is very clear and very observable. So, if Asaf and I say, for example, that if you try and stop the coronavirus, it's going to keep coming. And the coronavirus is just the beginning. And then next you'll have, earthquakes and things with food. It's because if we look at development, you can see inanimate rocks, minerals, whatever. And then it developed to vegetative. And then it developed to animals. And then it developed to humans, right? You can see we didn't make that up. It's not disputed. You can see clear patterns. So what we're doing here is, if you start to remove all of everybody's philosophies around why things are the way they are, and you can find 1,000 life coaches and there's 3,000 religions, and everybody takes all of those same forces that are happening and puts their own story on top of it. We want to remove all those stories, and we want to get just into what is happening, what is observable. And that's where this comes from. So if I'm going to ask you the same question, and I want to see how you answer it. How can you be so sure that you know what's happening?
Yeah, okay. That's maybe I'll go in a more personal kind of approach. Um, we all okay, I'll start from a more general kind of point that we can all relate to. Look, we're all part of nature, right? This is It's just an illusion that we human beings have, that we are outside of the system of nature. But any scientist, any person with common sense, any person without common sense, that you'll just ask them that question and let them contemplate it for a few seconds, they'll say, okay, yeah, we're part of this natural system. Okay, it seems to us like, with our technology and with our politics and with our whatever, whatever you want, that we somehow create, masters of our own domain. But we are bound by gravity and electromagnetism and whatever other forces of nature. Now, there is a whole set of laws of nature that is guiding and directing everything that is happening to us, and that includes our thoughts, our emotions, our innermost heart's desires. All of these, while we don't tend to think about them as natural laws, they too are governed by natural laws. What happens to people who practice this method that Seth and I have been practicing for the last, what, 17 years, each of us, 18 years, something like that. What happens is that you get in touch to a certain extent with how nature is moving and changing and twisting you on the inside, influencing your desires and thoughts to the point that you start seeing it and you begin to experience a certain kind of sympathy with the process that you're going through. You begin to acquire some insight into what nature is doing to you. And that doesn't just happen out of thin air. It happens because you put yourself in an environment and a laboratory where you can conduct these experiments, and all these experiments are in relation to you, how you relate to others, how you relate to the world, how you see what's happening to you. And by starting to conduct these experiments, you start getting results, you start getting feedback, you start noticing that the way in which you change, the way in which you think, The way in which you desire has a certain kind of pattern and laws and regularities. And you recognize that what's happening inside of you is also happening in the world around you. And you are completely guided by a system of laws, a system of forces that altogether are interweaving to push you to some step forward in your own evolution, and everything else around you moves to that purpose as well. And when you can feel that to a certain extent, to just even a very minimal extent, you become sure of what is happening. You read the news differently. You read just like you read what's happening to yourself differently. You experience everything about life from a different vantage point.
You used to see everything in life that it was related to me, related in. I never thought that I have some relationship. Um,
That's, yeah. While we're enjoying this moment, I'll and it's a good one. And it's a good one. Thank you, David Mancini, for bringing this up. It's not a bad idea to bring this up like this every episode, I would say. So while we're enjoying Seth's moment, all of us, let's just mention that we have with us so many people who are feeling the unique kind of this unique moment, who are feeling the great transition. We have friends from Cairo, Egypt, from the Netherlands, from Bangalore, from Poland, from Quebec, from Minnesota, from South Africa, from Northern California, from the UK, from Salt Lake City, from Tenerife, from Colorado, Finland, Houston. Did I say Finland? Houston, Old Fort, North Carolina, Bergen, Norway, Brooklyn, Puerto Rico, Utah, Brazil, Washington, San Francisco, and Saskatoon, and Ohio. And Seth, did you get your color back to your skin?
I want to develop the thoughts a little more before I go into it. You were doing such a beautiful job, and I thought I could succinctly like bring it somewhere, but I need to organize those thoughts a little bit more because I don't have words. I had the thoughts, but when I tried to say it, I had nothing came out of my mouth. Um,
I would just say this though, that if you guys are really, interested in this, then this is open to everyone today. This is open and accessible to everyone who has a desire to rise above this mundane experience that we're having here. If you have that awakening, that desire in you to rise above, to get a little bit more of that experience that nature is putting us through, to be more conscious about it, then you can go ahead and start doing it. We'll put some links in the description where you can go ahead and check out some materials, courses. But this is really this is a wisdom that you get from the inside. I don't know. I always think, I always have that feeling, and we got to wrap this. I'll be quick about it. I always have this feeling like, when that special kind of desire awakens in a person to really get into the meaning and purpose of life. If you just focus on this desire, it will do all the rest for you. That's the amazing thing. Nature's law of this magnet of nature is working. And when you express a desire to get closer to the purpose of life, the meaning of life, when you want it, when you feel it in your bones that this is something you want to explore, uncover, discover, then it just, nature will push you to it. I recognize it sounds a little bit, out there, but these are forces of nature. It's really at the end
We
of
need
the
to
day.
open this up further.
And we will, but not today, because we got to conclude. Do you have like a cool song for us? Oh, we have
I
a
got that song
concluding.
Garden.
All right, so maybe say a word about it, and also while you do, I will say a word about it. Say something about our channel. Say when is our next show. Say things, Seth.
Okay. Everybody, thank you for being with us. Thank you, Asaf. Thank you, Chris and Bright behind the scenes in the chats, taking care of all the production stuff. Thank you, everyone, for being here from around the world. We do have a Twitter now. If you want to ask us questions between shows or bring up things that you think would be worthwhile to talk about on the shows, it's at TGT_pod. We can put that in the chats at TGT_pod. We are now on our new channel on YouTube, bit.ly/The Great Transition. You can go there and see all the clips that we're making for all of the shows. This next song is called Garden. I think it pretty much lays out the story we've been telling. Thank you, everybody. We will be back Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Great Transition. Thank you all. Big love and see you soon.
Started in a garden with rubble. There was a snake, there was some trouble. I started as a monkey, but look at me now. There was no God to cling to, so I made a temple and I made a statue. And I spent my time smoking and drinking my wine. Shot out of my dad, swam into my mom, one amongst billions. Now what were the odds? And it only took me 1,000 lifetimes. If you wanna be rich, look for rich. If you wanna be smart, look for smart. I wanna know the reason why I feel like shit. It's a question from this point in my heart. A regal heart and vagabond shoes. I followed you here. Your scent is my muse, and I want to want you. All that will be has already been written. Flow like an atom, you're in a system. You're connected from in front and behind. So thanks for the good and thanks for the bad. From the call in the morning that straightens my head. And now nature's made me a spiritual man. You wanna be rich, look for rich. If you wanna be smart, look for smart. I wanna know the reason why I feel like shit. It's a question from this point in my